Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching SAMAA News. Here are today's headlines. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has held a telephone conversation with Pakistan's Field Marshal Asim Munir to discuss the latest regional security situation and matters of mutual interest. The call comes amid heightened tensions between Iran and Israel following a fresh exchange of attacks between the two countries. Iranian officials say Araghchi has also been in contact with senior diplomats from Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Britain and France as part of ongoing diplomatic efforts focused on de-escalation and regional stability. Iran has blamed the United States for the latest exchanges of fire with Israel, accusing Washington of bearing responsibility for actions that Tehran says undermine regional peace and security. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Esmail Baghaei said the recent escalation risks further damaging an already fragile diplomatic process between Tehran and Washington. Baghaei also said Pakistan's mediation efforts remain part of ongoing indirect contacts with the United States, while warning that Iran would respond to any measures taken against it at this week's meeting of the International Atomic Energy Agency Board of Governors. Iran has warned that any new military action by Israel against Iran or Lebanon would trigger what it described as a devastating response as tensions continue to escalate across the region. Iranian officials said attacks on either Iran or Lebanon are unacceptable and stressed that maintaining the Lebanese ceasefire remains an important part of previous diplomatic understandings. Meanwhile, Britain has called on both sides to exercise restraint, while the US Embassy in Jerusalem has issued a security advisory and temporarily suspended consular services amid growing security concerns. Israel has claimed to have hit a petrochemical plant in Iran's southwest, along with strikes elsewhere on military targets, after US President Donald Trump reportedly told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to refrain from further attacks. In the first hit on an energy site inside Iran since the April 8th ceasefire, Israel said it struck targets at the Mashar petrochemical complex, while a provincial official told Iran's semi-official Fars news agency parts of the plant were damaged. Iran fired salvos of missiles at Israeli targets in retaliation, putting US-Iran peace talks at risk.
President Donald Trump has said that any future agreement with Iran will not immediately unlock Tehran's frozen overseas assets. In an interview, Trump said the two sides are very close to reaching a deal, but stressed that any financial relief would come only if Iran complies with its commitments. He also reiterated that the United States intends to seize and destroy Iran's stockpile of highly enriched uranium, and claimed Tehran has accepted it will not pursue nuclear weapons. President Trump said in the same interview that he wants to see more targeted military action against Hezbollah in Lebanon, calling for what he described as more surgical strikes. Trump said he wants a better future for Lebanon, but argued that operations against Hezbollah should be intensified in a more focused manner. In response, Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf said that US military bases and Israeli interests in the Middle East could become legitimate targets if pressure on Iran continues. In a post on X, Ghalibaf accused the United States and Israel of disregarding ceasefire commitments, citing the US naval blockade of Iran and renewed Israeli operations in Lebanon as evidence that they respond only to what he called the language of power. The United States is reportedly considering the use of frozen Iranian assets to fund reconstruction in Gulf countries affected by recent attacks, according to sources familiar with the matter. The proposal is said to involve US Treasury officials assessing damage linked to the ongoing conflict, while also exploring options for covering future reconstruction costs in the region. The move comes amid continued hostilities and fragile ceasefire efforts between Washington and Tehran, with Iran previously calling for access to frozen funds as part of any potential settlement. The US military says it shot down 2 Iranian one-way attack drones over the Strait of Hormuz, claiming they posed a threat to international maritime traffic. US Central Command said American forces remain postured and ready to defend against further attacks as tensions continue in the region. The incident comes as the United States and Iran continue indirect negotiations for a possible interim agreement, even as sporadic clashes persist.
At least 15 people are feared dead in the southern Philippines after a powerful magnitude 7.8 earthquake struck off the island of Mindanao. The quake came early in the morning as schools were reopening in the Philippines after a long break, with the tremors felt strongly in a dozen provinces and 420 kilometers away in the city of Manado on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Tsunami alerts were issued in Philippines, Indonesia, and the Malaysian state of Sabah on Borneo Island after the quake, with an epicenter located about 20 kilometers off Mindanao's Sarangani province. Civil defense officials are verifying initial reports that 15 people were killed and 129 injured in the region. The leaders of Britain, Germany and France have said they support a proposal for talks between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin to try to secure a ceasefire, and Europe would play a role. In a joint statement, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and French President Emmanuel Macron commended Zelensky's call for an end to the war and the proposal for direct dialogue between Ukraine and Russia with active US and European participation. Zelensky said in a post on X that he also told Starmer Ukraine needed more missiles for air defense systems, just days after he published an open letter to Putin proposing face-to-face talks about ending the war. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.sammaa.tv. Thank you for watching SAMAA News.